Hello, and welcome to Operation Protect Veterans. My name is Carol Harris. I'm a postal inspector and a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. I'll be your host for today's webinar. I'm joined in studio by Kathy Stokes, Director of Fraud Prevention Programs at AARP, and remotely by Troy Broussard, a veteran and Associate State Director, Advocacy and Outreach with the AARP Louisiana State Office. Welcome, Kathy and Troy.
Thank you, Carol.
In 2017, AARP and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service joined forces for Operation Protect Veterans to fight back against fraudulent scam artists. Today, we'll talk about the scams that target veterans so that veterans can avoid becoming victimized by their tactics. All of the resources we mentioned today are located in the Resources folder on your screen. We'll also spend time answering your questions. To ask a question, type it in the box on your screen and click Submit. Troy?
Thank you, Carol. As a veteran, I'm so gratified to do this work in support of veterans and military and their families at AARP. Why is AARP concerned with making sure America's veterans, military, and their family are protected from fraud and scams? 4 million of our members are current or former military. Veterans are twice as likely to be impacted by scams than non-veterans. The AARP Fraud Watch Network found in a survey from late 2017 that 80% of veterans have encountered scams that specifically target veterans. 80%. The AARP Fraud Watch Network is working to empower consumers to spot and avoid scams and to provide support and guidance to victims and their families when fraud happens. We launched Operation Protect Veterans in 2017 with the United States Postal Inspection Service, and our work together continues today.
The United States Postal Inspection Service is a federal law enforcement agency, just like the FBI or the DEA. We're on the front lines every day in the battle against scammers, including ones who are out to take advantage of our veterans. Sadly, we've seen veterans lose their life savings and even homes as a result of being targeted by these evil scammers. We're proud to partner with AARP on this important program. We're also proud to help those who have served. Our veterans deserve a lot of things: praise, honor, security, respect. They don't deserve attempts to take advantage of their service. Yet, every day, scammers attempt to defraud our veterans of their hard-earned benefits, steal their identity, or take their savings. Together, we can fight back and take one small step to repay our veterans for their service they've given and the sacrifices they've made. This is why today we're discussing scams that target veterans and how to protect yourself and your loved ones from becoming victimized by scammers' tactics. Let's kick off our discussion with 2 quick poll questions. Do you think you have been approached with a fraudulent offer? Select yes or no. All right. Thank you for your response. Let's take a look at our second poll question. Do you think you know someone who has been a victim of fraud or identity theft? Select yes or no. It looks like a good number of you have had these experiences or know someone who has. You're not alone. Today, we're going to talk specifically about common ways that scammers target veterans and their families, and we'll talk about prevention strategies that can help everyone stay vigilant. Kathy?
As you can see, veterans are frequently targeted by scammers. Credit card scams, 75% of veterans surveyed. Tech support scams, 74%. Travel scams, 63%. Charity scams, 60%. Credit repair scams, 58%. Additionally, veterans and their loved ones who self-responded to an AARP U.S. Postal Inspection Service mailer indicated that the top 3 scams they recently encountered were credit card, tech support, and IRS tax scams. Veterans are also specific targets for scams where you are asked to donate money to support your fellow veterans, take advantage of little-known government programs for military that could result in lots of cash, to get a free back brace or arm brace or knee brace, improve the terms of a VA loan, or purchase cremation services at a discount because of your military service.
Scammers have all sorts of ways to target potential victims. Technological advances have made it easier for scammers to target hundreds, even thousands of people at a time in search of someone who will react. They use deceptive emails and phone calls.
Okay, let's talk about robocalls. I'm sure many in our audience have received phone calls on your home or cell phone. In fact, we are all inundated by these robocalls. Troy, tell us more.
While there are plenty of legitimate reasons for robocalls, school systems announcing closures or delays, local emergencies, messages from doctors' offices for appointment reminders, scammers use the same technology to bombard potential victims with deceitful calls. Illegal robocalls include telemarketing spam, which means automated sale calls that comes from companies that you have not authorized to contact you, as well as attempts at outright theft. Some pre-recorded messages dangle goodies like all expenses paid travel or demand payment for non-existent debts to get you to send money or give up personal data. Robocalls are a common means of scammers targeting veterans, and now we'll talk about the specific type of scams that target our nation's veterans.
Let's talk about the benefits buyout scheme, Troy.
Absolutely. This is where a company will seek out a veteran in need of money and offer an upfront payment of cash in exchange for the veteran's future disability or pension payments. These offers are typically a fraction of the value of the veteran's benefit. While these offers aren't necessarily illegal, they take unfair advantage of veterans who may need quick cash. And they can be illegal if they are improperly structured. Call the number or go to the website on the screen to learn about pension benefits through the VA.
In another benefits scam, unscrupulous investment advisors claim the veteran may be able to claim additional government benefits by overhauling their investment holdings.
That's right. According to the Federal Trade Commission, these advisors convince veterans to transfer their assets to a trust or invest in insurance products so they can qualify for aid and attendance benefits. But doing so could mean that the veteran loses eligibility for Medicaid or loses the use of their money for a long time. And these advisors are charging fees that range from hundreds to thousands of dollars for their services. Get credible information on how to qualify for veteran benefits by contacting your state's Veterans Affairs Agency, or you can visit at benefits.va.gov/benefits.
Another scam, explicitly targeting veterans, has to do with fake government programs.
When you get a call or an email or see an ad for a little known government program that could mean big cash for veterans, be wary. Like I said before, you can get credible information on how to qualify for veterans benefits by contacting your state's Veteran Affairs Agency or visit benefits.va.gov/benefits.
The scammers are also pretty crafty when it comes to phone numbers, aren't they, Troy?
Absolutely. Scammers set up a phone number nearly identical to the number veterans dial to find out if they are eligible to use approved healthcare providers outside of the VA system. The correct number provides information on requirements and eligibility for the program, among other services. Vets who call the fake number find out they are eligible for a fake reward or a rebate of $100. You just need to pay $1.95 of processing fee. This is a ruse to get you to give up your credit card number. Find out about the eligibility and more about the VCP at the link on the resources folder.
Another common benefit scam targeting benefits is where a scammer will attempt to charge a veteran for access to his or her military records or government forms.
Exactly. All of your records and government forms you need to access are generally free through the VA. You can find your State Department of Veterans Affairs at the link in the resources folder. Veterans seeking to take advantage of the GI Bill for college courses may be targets of deceptive marketing tactics that provide false information and encourage them to attend expensive for-profit educational institutions. The VA offers a comparison tool to help you locate a school and determine your benefits. Please visit benefits.va.gov/GI Bill for a list of schools that participate in VA education benefits. Visit inquiry.bba.va.gov.
Thank you, Troy. A quick reminder to our audience. Links to all the resources mentioned today are included in the resources folder on your screen. You can also ask a question at any time. Kathy, you wanted to talk about identity theft.
Thanks, Carol. I do. So, what is identity theft? Well, it's when someone steals your personal information, like your name, your social security number, and a bank account, and they use that money to commit fraud or other crimes. It can include opening credit accounts in your name and racking up thousands of dollars of debt. It can mean a thief draining your bank accounts or applying for government benefits in your name. Identity thieves may even use your information to file bogus tax returns.
The dark web is where stolen identities are bought and sold. Kathy?
That's right. Let's spend a little bit of time talking about the dark web, since I know many of you have probably heard of it, but you might not quite know what that means. Let's start with the premise that the internet is like an ocean. The top is the surface web, which is made up of public websites we all use. It's where the likes of Google and Amazon, Facebook and Yahoo are found. You might be surprised to learn that this surface web represents just about 4% of web content. But you go a little deeper to the deep web, and that's comprised of places on the internet that aren't searchable. Typically perfectly legal content, but that's just stuff everyday people like us don't need to access. So to get data in the deep web, you need an authorized password to get in. And that's an estimated 90% of web content or so. But then within the deep web, there's the dark web. And this is accessible only by special software that is free and available to anyone who wishes to download it on their system, but at their own risk. The dark web is perfect for preserving anonymity for political dissidents, for journalists, spies, and as it turns out, criminals. They have flocked to the dark web, attracted by its unique ability to facilitate the buying and selling of illicit goods and services with total anonymity. Let's watch this short video about a man named Brett Johnson, who was once known as the godfather of the dark web.
I am the guy who built the first organized cybercrime community, and it laid the foundation that modern cybercrime channels still follow today. I was placed on the United States Most Wanted list, arrested. I served 7.5 years in federal prison. There's no way I can make amends for the damage I caused in the past. Today, I try to help people avoid and protect themselves against the type of person that I used to be. The internet is made up of basically 3 different areas. The first is the surface web. Basically, that's everything that you can find on Google. That's 4% of the internet. The other 96% is the deep web. That's medical billing and emails, anything that's behind some sort of wall. Within that deep web is what's called the dark web. And the dark web is where a lot of criminal activity takes place, things like that. Your information can be sold at large there. I can buy your social security number and your date of birth for $2.90. I can buy your complete identity profile. That's your name, your address, your social security, your date of birth, your mother's maiden, your driver's license number, your background check, and your credit report. I can buy that entire profile for a low of $40 and a high of $130. Just last year, there were 1,500 reported breaches, 2.6 billion records compromised. Your information is out there. So knowing that, then what do you do about it? There are basically 3 things. The first is you freeze the credit of yourself and every single person in the house, including the kids, because children are the #1 victims of identity theft. But a credit freeze only takes care of new account fraud. So you also have to monitor existing accounts. It's bank accounts, credit cards, email logins, merchant logins. Put alerts on all accounts that you can. The third thing, passwords. We don't know how to do passwords properly. We use the same password across multiple websites. Criminals know that, so what I advise people to do is use a password manager. It's basically a software program that picks passwords for you. Make sure you're more safe. Those 3 things, freezing credit, monitoring accounts, using a password manager, that makes sure that you're not the low-hanging fruit and you're not going to be as easy a victim as all these other people.
Brett is now making amends for his past by educating people, law enforcement, and companies on how the dark web works and what we can do to protect ourselves. So let's talk about the many ways criminals who buy and sell stolen identities get a hold of identities in the first place. Of course, data breaches is one big area, But sometimes it's as basic as dumpster diving, literally criminals going through our trash and recycling for paperwork that contains our sensitive information. If you don't shred bills and statements and the like currently, you ought to invest about $40 to buy a micro-cut shredder or keep an eye out for free shedding events in your community. They typically tend to pop up around tax season. Other times it's property theft, breaking into a locked car that has your phone or your wallet in it. Still other times it's phone or online solicitations designed to get you to give up information that could lead to identity theft. I want to talk about two ways criminals seek to steal the identities of veterans and military. First, it's phishing. With phishing, someone typically contacts you and says there's some problem with your bank account and you need to verify the account with the social security number or other personal information. When phishing scammers go after veterans, they'll call by phone and claim to be from the VA and ask for personal information to update your DD Form 214. This is a scam. Never accept an unsolicited call from the VA. Hang up immediately. Employment scams also target veterans. This is where someone will post bogus job openings targeting veterans on online job boards. The goal of the scammer is to obtain your personal information from the job application to use or to sell. It's a scam if you have to pay to get the job, if you need to supply a credit card, or the posting refers to, quote, previously undisclosed, unquote, federal jobs.
Thank you, Kathy. Let's talk about other common scams that we've learned are targeted at veterans.
You know, scammers are well aware that veterans remain true to the men and women who serve. They will make up fake charities that have the word veteran in them, or they'll use a name that closely resembles a real charity. In a recent survey, a whopping 62% of veterans reported that they had been targeted by fake veteran charities. Before you donate, check the organization out. There are several ways to do that online. You can go to charitywatch.org or charitynavigator.org. You know, scammers offer special discounts for veterans on a range of products like home loans and car purchases. Often the products aren't discounted at all, or they don't actually exist. Check out offers carefully and never wire money to someone you don't know. Visit benefits.va.gov/home loans for home loan information. You know, a scammer posts a fake rental property on a classified ad website offering discounts for active duty military and veterans. You just need to wire transfer a security deposit to the landlord. Only there's no rental property and you just lost your security deposit. As with other special offers for veterans, tread carefully and never wire transfer money.
Now that we know what to watch out for, let's talk about some things you can do to protect yourself and your family from these common targeting scams that target veterans. There are a number of things you can do to protect you and your loved ones from the tactics that scammers use.
That's right, Carol. Try to avoid making a buying decision when you're in a heightened emotional state. That's what the scammers try to get you into, so you're not thinking in your logical mind. Ask more questions than you answer when you're considering buying a service or a product. Read about the product before buying it. Develop a refusal script, something that gets you to stop an unwanted interaction. This can be something as simple as saying no and hanging up or walking away. You can protect your social security number and personal information to protect yourselves as well. Don't carry your social security card in your wallet. Don't print your social security number or your driver's license number on your checks. As I said before, shred sensitive information and monitor your bills and your financial accounts. Watch for missing bills and review monthly statements carefully. Contact your creditors if a bill doesn't arrive when expected or includes charges you don't recognize. And also, don't invest in anything you are not absolutely sure about. Do your homework on investments. Look up the company, the salesperson, and ensure that they're legitimate. You can look them up at smartcheck.gov. You also want to watch over your credit reports. You're entitled to one free credit report each year from each nationwide credit bureau. To get your free report, go to annualcreditreport.com or call 1-877-322-8228. Also, protect your PINs and your passwords. Don't carry them around with you in your wallet or your purse, and avoid using easily available information for your PINs or passwords, such as your mother's maiden name, you or a family member's birth date, your social security number or phone number, or a series of consecutive numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and choose a different PIN for each account. You also want to protect yourself and your information online. Don't conduct personal financial business on shared public computers or over public wireless hotspots. Install the latest version of established antivirus software on your computer. And then you want to protect your mail. You can call 1-888-5-OPT-OUT or visit optoutprescreen.com to stop those pre-approved credit card applications that a thief could steal and use to get credit in your name. You also want to avoid letting your incoming mail sit in an unlocked mailbox because it's primed for being stolen. And cut down on junk mail by contacting the Direct Marketing Association at dmachoice.org. To cut down on unwanted telemarketing calls, please sign up all your numbers for the Do Not Call registry at donotcall.gov or call 888-382-1222. Also, double-check references for door-to-door sales, home repair offers, and other products. Verify that businesses and others who contact you are who they claim to be before you provide any personal information. And also, Troy mentioned this before, check out a charity before donating to make sure they're legitimate. You can go to CharityWatch.org, CharityNavigator.org.
Thank you, Kathy. Those are excellent tips. We'll spend our remaining time together answering your questions. Simply type it in the Q&A box on your screen. We'll answer as many questions as possible. Okay, first question's from Michael. My neighbor thinks he may have been scammed, but is too ashamed to tell anyone. How can we convince him to report it, and where should he report it?
Michael, I'm sorry that your friend has fallen victim, and it's something that a lot of people face when they feel they've fallen victim to a scam. They feel like they're embarrassed or ashamed that it shouldn't have happened to them. But what they don't realize is that the scammers use very sophisticated methods to get us out of our logical thinking mind and into a place of emotion, whether it's fear or need, and we make decisions and we end up losing money to these scams. But it's no different from any other crime. And we have to start understanding that so that we feel more comfortable sharing the stories, because when we share our stories, then the next person who has heard that story isn't going to fall victim. And his neighbor could call the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline. It's open and available to anyone, not just AARP members. It's 1-877-908-3360. We have trained fraud fighter volunteers, many of whom have suffered victimization themselves and are giving back, and they can help them figure out what to do.
That's great, Kathy. Thanks for sharing that. And I know when someone calls the line, there will be a non-judgmental person on the other end to help them through that. And I can tell the people out there listening, from a federal law enforcement perspective, every report matters, because we can use the information in the aggregate to better serve the public and to make sure that no one else is victimized by these scams and these schemes. So we want that report, even if there's no loss.
Yes.
We want to know, because we can use that information to protect against and prevent.
And I will say, when we get calls into our helpline, those calls are shared with the federal government. It goes into what's called the Consumer Sentinel, and that's where investigators and others in law enforcement can make cases.
Absolutely. And the Postal Inspection Service uses the Consumer Sentinel. There's over 300 different agencies that participate in the Consumer Sentinel as a powerful way. And one other place people can report is with the Inspection Service when it's a mail-related crime at uspis.gov. So our next question is from Laura. And she asked, will I get my money back if I lose it to a scammer?
Well, Laura, the unfortunate answer is probably not. Not in all cases, but in most cases, scammers know how to get your money from you in a way that is untraceable, and we can't go back after it. So top way of getting money if you're a scammer is a wire transfer. Send you over to MoneyGram or Western Union or down to your local gas station that wires money. Once that money's out of your account, it's gone. The other top way, and growing, is using a gift card as a form of payment in a scam, the scammer will convince the victim, the target anyway, that it's entirely legitimate to use gift cards in this way. They'll send you down to Walgreens or the local store, tell you to buy X amount of dollars on a gift card, come back, give that information on the back, that's the account number and the PIN number, and as soon as that is out of your mouth, the money's gone. And so you just can't get compensation for those losses. But as Carol, as you said before, it's really important to report because they do lead to fraud investigations that do lead to taking some of these guys down.
Absolutely. And in the instance when there are assets that can be recovered from a criminal, once it's adjudicated through the courts, if there are assets there, they will be returned through restitution or other means as the court dictates. But unfortunately, many times it's not. Okay, this question's from Stephen. Are scams only targeting older veterans, or is everyone being targeted?
Stephen, that's a really great question. And the reality is that everybody is a potential victim. It's just that scammers are thinking, and they're trying to figure out where's the money. And if you're an older veteran, chances are, you're retired, you're receiving a pension, maybe you're on disability. So they're thinking, flow of income, that's why I'm going after that person. But it's just because they're looking for obvious, possible troves. Like, that's why older Americans are victimized and not even as much as younger Americans, frankly, but they lose a lot more money because they have so much more to lose. They might have the Social Security check, they might have a pension check, they've got the 401k, they've got housing wealth, they're retired, they've amassed money to live on in retirement, so they're the easier target, but everybody's a potential victim.
Yes, anyone can be targeted, and we see that in our line of work as postal inspectors. And it's just so egregious when older Americans are targeted because at that stage in life, it's harder to recover from a financial loss.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, Carol and Kathy, I just want to share, just from a veteran's perspective, that was a great question, but you're right. The age does not matter. What these predators are looking to do is they want to capitalize on utilizing the verbiage, the DD Form 214s, the MOS, and use different language that military personnel are accustomed to, and then that way they gain your trust, and then that's when the scam artist jumps in to really attack veterans. So be prepared, be ready, and I think that so age is no. So that's why it's so important that this fraud prevention dissects throughout all ages, of veterans. So it's very important that we share this information with everyone. So just wanted to give you a veteran's perspective as well too. So thank you both.
Thank you for that, Troy. You mentioned trust, and that is something that's incredibly important to Americans in general, especially the veteran community, where you've been taught and learned and trained to trust one another, the bonds of service, and the criminals seek to use that trust against the veteran to develop an affinity. They will assume a false identity of having served or some other way to find a way to bond with those veterans. And that's something that if we're aware of it, we're more resilient against it. So thank you for bringing up trust.
Thank you.
This question's from Lindy. Do scams ever go away but then reappear at a later date?
They absolutely do. It's not on a regular calendar, but you do see some things that get high at certain points and then may go away and pop up another time. A really good example of how scams can actually sort of be modified just based on sort of what the current environment is. I think everybody's probably heard of the IRS imposter scam. You get a call claiming you owe back taxes and that you must pay immediately or face arrest. And it was one day, and I want to say it was like last March or something. It was like overnight, the scammers had that in front of them, and then they just like flipped the page over, and all of a sudden they were the Social Security Administration. And your account has been suspended because there's been some criminal activity. And so they used the same tactic, but they pretended to be a different authority figure to try to, in the same end, to try to, victimize people and take their money.
Yeah. Old wine in a new bottle.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Troy. We've mentioned a ton of free resources today. You can find all of the links as well as a copy of these slides in the resources folder on your screen. You can find a wealth of information that benefits veterans, military, and their families from the AARP, at aarp.org/veterans. And for more information about protecting yourself and loved ones from scams and fraud, visit aarp.org/Fraud Watch Network. If you want to report a scam, or if you or a loved one needs help because you've fallen victim, you can call the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline at 1-877-908-3360. And for more information on the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, visit uspis.gov and our social media channels as well. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for your service.